وهولندا من الدول المتقدمة زراعيا وليها بصمتها في العالم كله. عشان كده قابلنا مستر تيخو المستشار الزراعي الهولندي في مصر خلال المؤتمر الثالث للجمعية المصرية لصناعة التقاوي. وضح لنا أهمية تطوير وحماية التقاوي ودورهم في دعم المزارعين في ظل تحديات المناخ والتكلفة.
Today the third conference to the Egyptian Seeds Industry Association. So what about the important of cooperation between the public and the private sector to protect the seeds and the invest in seeds?
Yeah, Shaban, thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here again. This is the third time I've been here at the conference, also the third conference, so it's nice to see the whole development of the seed sector in Egypt. I think it is really coming together, companies work together, and they indeed acknowledge that it's important as companies to be a spokesperson or a speaking person to the government. A lot for a seed sector or for a sector to develop is to be able to come together and discuss pre-competitive issues. And those pre-competitive issues you discuss with government. Those are issues of R&D, of knowledge development, of a business climate. And for the seed sector, the business climate, of course, for a good chunk is intelligence or intellectual property right protection. So that seed varieties are protected throughout the whole value chain.
Yes.
That is a challenge in a lot of countries and also in Egypt. And I think only when you are in good dialogue with government, you can come to the right policies for that. Egypt is a very big country. It is huge, diverse. It's got a huge formal, but also a big informal sector. And those are things that you need to acknowledge. And I think the seed sector also understands that. It does mean that policy development is a bit more challenging. And therefore you need to be very good at a sector, come together and speak with government on what the best way forward for Egypt is. And I think Asia is now taking those right steps. This conference is a sign of that, and I've been meeting with His Excellency Ala Farouk to also take that a step further.
Yes.
And then a step further, you can as government also show that you can be a seed hub, that you can be a reliable partner for countries around Egypt, as an export hub, as a trade hub, even as a production hub. You can think on those things, develop that. And I think that's where we're going to for the coming years. The Dutch private sector is very engaged in indeed making Egypt that seed hub, in being part of the development of new knowledge, new strains, and indeed as a trading hub.
Yes. So, what about the challenge you see face the seed industry in Egypt and in the world?
I think seed for everybody, of course, the genetic material is crucial. That is the base of our food system. That there's a sound base of genetic material, and I think on a global scale, our big challenge is that genetic material. Native varieties that can be a source for new genetic types, characteristics for tomatoes, for other vegetables, for any plant. You need the biodiversity. And I think the decline in biodiversity on a global level is a huge risk. So that's also how we as Dutch sector at the moment say, well, we definitely want to help Egypt become that seed hub, that trade hub. And I think a good part is that we'd like to engage on that genetic material, on the local biodiversity, and using that local biodiversity to make new strains, new varieties that are absolutely adapted and for the Egyptian climate.
What about Netherlands technology and in seeds industry?
Yeah, technology. Companies in seed industry are big. They're all multinationals.
How Netherlands invest in seeds industry? Yes.
We as government, we invest at the pre-competitive level. So our research is directed at new DNA technology, at new screening technology, at AI for phenotyping, those type of technologies that can then be used by all private industries.
Yes.
Whereas the private sector is owner of their own genetic material, their own varieties, their own mother lines, their own breeding lines. So as government, we steer clear of that. We invest in those pre-competitive things, technology, knowledge, insights that can use the whole that can be used by all the private players, private sector players in the market. And so also that I see that as vision for Egypt. That indeed government takes that role of pre-competitive facilitation of knowledge, of exchange, of education, of capacity building for farmers.
Yes. How see Egypt as a center for seeds industry in Africa?
I think Egypt has of course, a beautiful climate. It's very stable, it's very reliable. Water is, of course, the water resource is a big issue. I think we always have to be very aware of how to use our water resources best, optimal. But then the whole development of land reclamation facilitates that there's a lot of clean land. Yes. So if you're able to keep that clean, then you can have a very strong base. And I know, especially for seed potato production, there's a huge dynamic to develop seed potatoes here in Egypt. And starting with clean soil is adamant there.
هذا البرنامج برعاية